So much, Dr. Victor. Our next speaker is someone I respect and love very much, and I think my smile shows. She is Mrs. Alero Ayida-Otobo. Yeah! Kindred spirits. Alero Ayida-Otobo is a transformation strategist with an invaluable understanding of public sector reforms in Nigeria. She is the founder of Incubator Africa, a development agency established in 2012 that mobilizes and equips reformers to collaborate and actively participate in strategic activities that transform sectors and systems. She is currently the Chief Executive Officer of the School of Politics, Policy and Governance, a critical arm of the Fixed Politics Initiative. She is also the co-founder of Teach for Nigeria and the chair of Slum to School Africa, among other education and health initiatives that she champions. A graduate of Somerville College, University of Oxford, and Bartlett School of Architecture and Town Planning, University of London, and the London Business School, Alero's purpose is to create wealth in Africa through the development of human potential. She has worked in different sectors in Nigeria and Ghana and spoken at significant conferences in Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda. Her mission is to build communities of reformers that step out of their comfort zones and take responsibility for their nations by executing nation-building initiatives. Please give a warm platform welcome to Mrs. Alero Ayida-Otobo.
Thank you very much. Wow. This has been an amazing morning. Brilliant morning. Pastor Oyemade and his precious, beautiful wife. My daughter and I couldn't decide whether you're a pastor or just Toyin or just Mrs. Okay, so you are Mrs. Toyin Oyemade. My daughter got it right. Good. Thank you for inviting me to this very prestigious and important platform. This is more than a conference. It's more than a summit. It's a movement. And you need to pay attention to movements. My eyes are not as good as they used to be, so permission to just read from, yes. And so I'd like to congratulate you on 15 years of excellence, 15 years of impact, 15 years of relentless determination to make a difference. On social media, my heart was filled with pride as I read some of the wonderful posts and tweets. And there was a particular one that caught my attention this week. It said, the platform, Nigeria, is a highly respected organic movement conducting a series of impactful intellectual events that have transformed the minds and lives of hundreds of thousands of people. So I'd like to say, on behalf of my family and I, well done. Very well done. Very well done. And to my fellow speakers, it's an honor to stand on this platform with you. Before I proceed, I'd like to share what wakes me up every morning. Every morning when I wake up and I lie on my back and I look up at my ceiling, I have 3 famous quotes that are on my ceiling. Because it's important that words, words are powerful? Yes. The first one is by Joanna Macy, and she states, the heart that breaks open can contain the whole universe. your heart that breaks open can contain the whole universe. The second quote is by one of my favorite people, Mother Teresa, that says, I can do things you cannot, and you can do things that I cannot. Together, we can do great things. That speaks to collaboration and to unity. The third one is my all-time favorite. It says, God is love. Love never fails. Why are these three quotes important? I believe that they describe the kind of people that we need. I'm actually not in the school of thought that we need a president. I think what we need is a presidential class. That's a company of people that have presidential qualities. Our problem is that when we focus on one man to solve a problem, he tends to fail. We get frail, dying individuals instead of a company of strong, healthy, youthful individuals that have vision and know what to do. So, for me, when I look at these three powerful quotes, it describes a person who has a heart of love, a person who's willing to serve through collaboration, and you have a radical mindset shift that shifts nations. And my question is, do our presidential class, our current political leaders have a heart of love that can contain Nigeria, let alone the universe? I think we know what the answer is. Do they serve us, like Mother Teresa says? Do they? I need an answer. No. Are they united in vision and purpose? No. If I had space on my ceiling in my bedroom, there'll be a fourth quote. And that fourth quote, many of you know, says, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Never doubt. The people in this room, if we do what is right over the next 10, 15, 20 years, Nigeria will not remain the same. And I want to use a case study to illustrate the power of that quote. So keep that quote in mind. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the what? The world. And if they can change the world, they can change Nigeria. I've been asked to speak on a better Nigeria possible, why, what, and how, and what the next leadership should look out for. I want to commend all the previous speakers before me. You've done an excellent job. So I don't have to talk about the why, and I don't have to talk about the what. My focus is going to be on the how, because at every point in time, anybody who's been in Nigeria for the last 10, 15, 20 years, we all know the why. Nigeria is failing. Nigeria, don't let me go further. So I believe a better Nigeria is possible. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have been doing what I've been doing over the last 20 years. I will not be standing before you. I would have left like so many other people. But as I focus on why a better Nigeria is possible, I want to lay a foundation focused on three reasons. And I want you to pay attention to these three reasons. What we're doing here is deeply serious. I hope you've all taken notes, because I've been writing furiously. Don't leave your brain to remember anything, because your brain is wired not to remember. By the time you leave and you watch your next movie, it will displace what you have heard today. Because it is so deeply serious, we are here to ignite the flames of fire that will transform this nation. Every one of you in this room is a flame. And when we join forces, we become an inferno. And we become a consuming fire that will consume three things: corruption, injustice, and wrongdoing. So every one of you, let the words that have been spoken today cause a significant shift in you. Then we're doing the third thing that I'm going to do on this platform. I'm going to release a new sound over Nigeria. An awakening sound, because it is time to arise. It is time to stop making excuses. It is time to stop sitting and hoping other people will do the hard work. I'm part of several communities, and I find that many people were great at talking, but when it's time to roll up our sleeves and work, people keep excuses and say, I'm coming, just next month, I'm very busy. And they're usually busy on what is important to them, not what is important to the nation. And that sound is going to awaken many of us, because as a nation, we have fallen asleep. And we abdicated the management of our nation to those that are not trained and those that are not prepared. We need a revival in this nation. Not a spiritual revival, because we have one, but we need an economic revival and a political revival. And that's what we are here for. I'm very grateful to those that focused on the what, the key economic indicators that have failed us. We've looked at how unemployment has doubled since 2015. We've looked at how debt service ratio to revenue has worsened. And we are in a situation now that we cannot service our debts. But like I said earlier on, the question that I want to answer is the how. And why is it important? Bishop Matthew Hassan Kukah, many of you know him. He says, no nation has ever taken a shortcut to success. Not because nations have not tried, but simply because there are no shortcuts that are available. Journeys to greatness require more than good people. They require more than just goodwill. They require more than just hope. The journeys have to be led by men and women with vision, men and women of tested character, prepared to mobilize the people to a vision and a goal that is attainable. Another quote that I'm going to, before I present a case study, because with the time that I have left, I would like to focus, like I said, on the how. And why it's important to focus on the how, because if each of you are not solving the problems that need to be solved, we'll be here 10 years to come, and we'll still be having this conversation. The Queen of England, who many of you know, recently died. During an interview, was asked to explain why she was so diligent, so dutiful, and why she was so devoted to service. You know what she said? The training is the answer to so many things. You can do a lot if you are properly trained. And I hope that I have been properly trained. Fixing Nigeria is about fixing leadership. Fixing leadership is about properly training our political class. Fixing their character, fixing their competence, and fixing their capacity. I have been in meetings where ministers are falling asleep. And many of you have seen those videos, half of them in National Assembly. Nation building is hard work. And I'm going to very quickly use the next, I would say, 7 minutes, just presenting a case study that I hope will come up. And the reason why I have taken permission to present this case study is because many of us sat for years complaining. But then research began to show that if you do not take certain action, you can't fix Nigeria, and you can't fix the politics of Nigeria. And it is not about having just great leaders, because the great leaders can emerge, but if the electorate does not know the qualities of the leaders that they should vote for, they will vote for the wrong people for a muscle of what? But the odd 5,000, 10,000 naira, they will vote for the wrong person. So this research that was carried out 3 years ago shows that for us to fix the problem, the leadership challenge of poor governance, of poor policy formulation and poor execution, that's affecting not just Nigeria, but the entire continent, we have to take certain action. Can I have the slides, please? Because I want to go very quickly through. What we realized, if you can all see, is that we needed to do what? Fix the electorate, educate them, empower them, and help them to understand that unless they pick the right leaders, Nigeria will not be fixed. The second pillar, the second item that needs to be fixed is raising a new class of political leaders, and that's what the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance is about. Then the third one, and I'm happy, I think it was the speaker who talked about the changes that have taken place at constitutional reform, is fixing our constitution. You can have great leaders, you can have great electorate, but if you don't fix our constitution, we're still going to be where we are. So what we have done and what needs to be done, and I'm giving this an example because all great business schools say focus on case studies, is that I want each and every one of you to take a decision that you're going to be part of a reform initiative. And if you're already part of a reform initiative, scale your reform initiative. So what we did over the last 3 years is that we stopped working in silos and we came together to build competent change communities. Are you involved in a change community? Then we started building models of excellence. Are you building models of excellence? Models of excellence that solve specific problems at its root cause, and then we scale. So very quickly, next slide. The School of Politics, Policy, and Governance is building a massive base and pipeline of new disruptive thinking political class. We cannot wish for new politicians if we do not, like what the Queen of England said, prepare them, groom them, and insist that they know how to solve the complex problems of development. In most countries, in the United Kingdom, you can't wake up and say, I would like to run for office. No. Parliament will call you, and they will interview you, and they will grill you, and say, are you ready? Are you qualified? What's your track record? What have you achieved? We have to start placing a demand on track record and where were you trained, like the Queen of England said. Where were you trained? And until we start insisting, I'm going on this because in Nigeria, anyone can wake up and run for office. And I think we have to stop that. Enough is enough. So next slide. Our vision is to raise competent and responsible public leadership, and we want to educate present and future leaders. Now, there was a problem. We stepped out. There's a process. Created a reform community. We have a 10-month program that has been designed that teaches everything that you need to know to solve the complex problems of an African nation. We have 90 faculty members over a 10-month period. Why am I saying this? It is a solution to a problem. The success that we have seen 55 of our students run for primaries, and 5 of them made it to the finish line. If they are voted for, they will solve the problem of their state, they will solve the problem of their community. The how. How are we solving the problem in education? Many states do teacher training, but do you know that teacher training doesn't solve your problem? How many of you know that? It's more deep-rooted. You have to not wait for them to get into the schools before you train them. You reform your colleges of education at source, and you turn your colleges of education into 21st century institutions. That is how you will solve the problem. So anytime you see a state governor or a minister of state or a commissioner of education spending huge sums of money on courses, short-term, 1 week, query them. because it's not going to get you to the promised land. The second part of the question says, what the next leadership should look for. I looked at this and I thought, how should I answer this question? And I realized that there were two perspectives to this question. Those who will occupy leadership from 2023, and most of the speakers have taken that angle. But I would like to highlight the second perspective. And the second perspective is your perspective. Those of you in this room, you will be the next leadership beyond 2023, beyond 2027. What should you look out for now? You've heard about what the next people from 2023, the next president, and I want to thank my brother for doing an excellent job with that, Victor. But what should you look out for? Next generation. Apart from the 3 C's, character, competence, and capacity, there are 5 drives that I would like to leave with you. And the drives, each one is a letter, and it spells the word depth, D-E-P-T-H. The first drive that you need to look for in leadership, those of you in this room, to be driven by data. Anyone that is formulating policy that is not rooted in data, please don't vote for them. Be driven by data. Not sentiments, not emotions, not what you think, not what you would like. What does the data say? Be driven by excellence. Enough of, Madam, manage this. Let's manage. The bridge is lopsided. Let's manage it. The foundation is rotten. Let's manage it. Driven by excellence. The P is driven by partnerships. Let's stop working solo, in silos. Let's come together and collaborate. And then T, I'm spelling depth. Refuse to work alone. Be driven by teamwork. And then the last, driven by hard work. No time for frivolities. We party a lot in Nigeria. We party a lot. I watch when sometimes we have very serious meetings, and we come out of those meetings. This is many years ago, so I'm not casting aspersions on current leadership, unless you choose to. But you come out of these Federal Executive Council meetings, and we're laughing. Serious business. Go to other nations. They don't come out laughing. It's not a joke. We have the largest number of out-of-school children. It's not a joke. We can't pay our debt. It's not a joke. We have 9 out of 10 children that cannot read or write. It's not a joke. So it's time to minimize frivolities. Then we need to look for leaders, those of you in this room, that demonstrate 3 critical S's. Strategic thinking. I find that one of our weakest links is our capacity to think strategically, to be able to understand what to do, when to do it, how to do it, to be driven by data to design solutions that really solve the problems, not superficial, not putting plaster on deep wounds, but actually solving that problem. And then look for leaders that are willing to pay the price, sacrifice, and then the sincerity of that leader, not off the mic, as one of our speakers said earlier on. Then I want to encourage us to look for people who take action. Stop talking, stop complaining, taking action. Volunteer to be like a community organizer. I don't know how many of you got your PVC. How many of you got your PVC in this room? How many did not? When I say did not, no, don't be embarrassed, because you wanted to, but you just haven't been able to get it. How many of you? You would like to, but you just couldn't get it. Not everybody put up their hands when I said, do you have PVC? So how come now only a few hands? There's a discrepancy, and we are data-driven. Why am I raising it? Actually for a good cause. Because if you don't have your PVC, you can become an INEC official. You can register to become an INEC official, because you see, INEC officials are not allowed to vote. So imagine, I want you to go on a journey. Imagine if we were able to raise an army of INEC officials that cannot be bought, that cannot be paid for. Imagine. So I'm announcing it as a strategy, as a strategic thinking. If you don't have your PVC, and this is for the churches and the mosques, you've raised people of integrity. You've raised people that should not want to compromise. You've raised people that want to see a new Nigeria. Get them to register. Practical steps. And become an INEC official that no one can pay for and will not buy. It is time for us to receive the mandate and the mantle of the office of the citizen. It is time to become one who understands one's right, one's obligations, one's purpose. And one of the weakest links in our nation right now is that as citizens, we do not understand who we are and what we are called to do. So, time for community organizers to arise. I intend to become like a community organizer. Recently, sometimes you are thinking of the big picture. And I remember driving into my home in Victoria Island several months ago. And the still small voice, thank you, that my sister mentioned, said, you want to fix Nigeria. Look at your parameter in VI, the filth and the dirt. Fix that first. So the question is, all of you, fix your community first before you look for that president that will fix Nigeria. And now I'm going to ask you to do some crazy stuff. I said we're releasing a new sound. We're igniting, what did I say at the beginning? We're here for serious issues, right? What was the second point that I said? After serious issues, we're igniting flames of fire. And the third thing, sound. Do you know what is powerful about sound? Sound precedes movement. Loud sounds cause attention. And when you get attention, you're able to get people to do things. So this sound that we are releasing today is a sound that says that there's a new generation that is awakening. That there's a new generation that wants to rescue Nigeria. A new generation that is tired of status quo. A new generation that wants to take responsibility for Nigeria. That's my role here. I've come to release that sound and to say, wake up. It is time. So we're going to do two things that will awaken us. And it's not awakening us so that tomorrow when you wake up, you're doing your same old thing. I wish I was with Covenant Nation. I would have taken note of everybody that is here. And that's what I do. I write your name down. And then I follow you over a period of 5 years. What have you done with the knowledge and the information that you have gotten from sitting here for 5 hours? What have you going to do? What decisions are you taking? You didn't just come to listen. Did you just come to listen to amazing people talk? No. You came to take decisions. What decision are you taking? Write it down and hold yourself accountable. So we're going to do one thing now. And it's important that I do this. We're going to release a sound, and it's the sound of the shofar. It's an awakening sound. And the person is a friend and a brother that has come all the way from, guess where? Kadria? Beautiful name. Indonesia. He arrived from Indonesia this morning. So I see it, it's not a coincidence. And I'm going to invite him. Fidelis, please come. After he blows that shofar, we're going to release the roar of the lion. And that roar is going to tell the nation that the people have woken up. And we are going to rescue and save Nigeria. What are we going to do? I have a daughter who, Leke is not here. Our alarm always goes off for medication, but it is well. And this, as it releases this sound, it's going to release the spirit of unity upon Nigeria because of what she said. Indonesia, unity. I don't question things, I just obey. The spirit of unity. Then when the lion, when the lion roars, do you know what? It's king of the jungle, but is it the largest animal in the kingdom? No. Is it the biggest? No. It is, but when it roars, do you know you hear it 5 miles away? 5 miles. And what it's saying is that I am hungry, I want to consume my prey. So when we roar this afternoon after the shofar, what we are doing is that we are giving notice that we are going to consume corruption. We are going to consume violence. We are going to consume, what else? Insecurity. What else are we consuming? Corruption. What else? Injustice. Just be naming them. And then when you now roar, you stand up because you know you can't roar sitting down. So better start standing up before he blows his shofar. I came here to do a practical step. That's my assignment. Okay? So if you don't want to roar, you can sit. If you want to be pretty, you don't have to. But I do this with my students in the School of Politics, Policy and Governance. And there is something very profound about it. I want to trust that the profoundness will hit the very depth of your soul. And that the awakening will bring a love for Nigeria. A willingness to die for Nigeria. Because we better be ready. The polling booth is going to be vicious. Next year, if you think only your PVC will make it, it's a lie. You have to get ready. October 2020 was the beginning. No, I won't say anymore. So at the count of 3, he's going to blow the shofar. As soon as that shofar has been blown, you will open your mouth and you will give the loudest roar so that people in Sampara and Sokoto will hear you. And everything that we have said that will come down, let's come down. Okay. 1, 2, 3.